Everybody take your seats. We're going to get going here in a second. Thank you for coming. So whenever you guys are ready, find your seats. Kind of get this party started. No, there's a lot of great conversations going here, but I want to get this going, stay on time. So, well, thank you, everyone. My name's Corey Allen with Columbia Bank. I know you're not used to seeing me up here right away, but I'm kind of taking over tonight. And for those of you who have been to PubTalk before, you're probably asking yourselves, you might have seen me up here before, and you're going, God, there's something different about Corey tonight. So let me explain. No, November is Men's Cancer Awareness Month, so I haven't been shaving, so I might look a little different tonight. So. No, seriously, so to explain this great ensemble here, last month I went to BVC. Anybody here go to BVC? Yeah, great event, right? And so Julie from Cascade Angels was there, and she wore a couple suits 2 nights in a row, and I was talking to her about it, and I was just really impressed. It turns out they're from one of their companies they invest in, Wild Fangs, up in Portland. And we got to talking. It was after the event. There might have been a cocktail or two. And what we created was the suit-off competition for tonight. And clearly, I'm winning this right now. So since I knew I was feeling very victorious coming in here, actually, the winner, by the way, or the loser, has to buy the other dinner, sushi dinner at 5 Fusion. So there's a lot on the table here. But since I felt so bad about how Julie was going to feel after we do our vote here in a minute, I actually brought her a bottle of champagne as a condolence. And actually, I wanted to say congratulations, because I actually hear 1 year anniversary is coming up as well. So with that, Julie, come on up.
Well, thanks, Corey. I lobbied a few of you before we did this to vote for Julie. I didn't have T-shirts made. But, I did want to say I wore this suit because this was the genesis of this competition, and I felt like it was quite a statement. Full disclosure, we are an investor in Wild Fang. And I love your suit. I think it's very expressive. But do you know who made that suit or what the brand is? Is it like Oppo Suits?
Yeah.
Well, that's great and everything, but you probably don't have the CEO of the company on FaceTime.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Oh!
She's trying to stage me up here.
Can you see that on the camera?
That's just okay, but it wasn't worn by Michelle Obama, so it's not that good.
No.
Yeah, it wasn't worn by Michelle Obama. It's not
I'm
that
wearing
good.
your suit here. Come on.
So, Emma, did you want to make a comment, and then we'll take a vote?
Hey, all I'm saying is we are trying to, just change one badass at a time. Julie is clearly the first part of that movement.
Corey the second.
I mean, you can put it to vote, Julie, but I think it's pretty clear who's won on this one.
Oh! So the way we're going to do this, so the loser has to buy the other one sushi dinner. And I'm going to save the Veuve Clicquot for that dinner. And so I'm really going to work up some hunger because Corey's going to have to spend a lot of money. I mean, this is a real departure from the dark pinstripe suit that bankers wear. Would you not say? Okay, so we're going to do this by applause. So all those, first we'll do for Corey, or do you want to go second?
I think you should go first.
Okay, first Julie, and then Corey. And if it's more for Corey, then we'll come back to me. Okay, all right. So who thinks I have the best suit? And who thinks Corey has the best suit?
Come on!
What are we going to do? Okay, and back to Julie. Who thinks Julie has the best suit?
We don't need a revote here. We don't need a revote.
Okay. So Corey wins for tonight, but Wild Fang will transform the world. All right, thanks, Emma. Thanks for dialing in. Bye.
I'm sure I'll pay for it next month.
Okay. Oh, my God, yeah.
You leave me hanging there.
I know. What is that? Just a second. We're off the program, but I'll get you back on time in just a moment.
Just slightly.
Like this one.
with my head. Is that because I
Yeah.
won?
Wow, thank you, everybody. It's the season of gratitude. I'm working on that since I lost now, but so it is a season of gratitude. So let's do some thank yous. Thank you to our title sponsors, Columbia Bank, Carnot Peterson, Velox Systems, and University of Oregon, and our supporting sponsors, COCC Small Business Development Center. The COCC Small Business Development Center is honored to be a supporter of PubTalk. Gosh, I have to regroup after that loss. I worked so hard. To be a supporter of PubTalk is a local business support organization providing strategic advising, research tools, and education to help your business get to the next level. So if you have a great idea and you need some help on the business side, great place to go. And the Central Oregon Association of Realtors, COAR, is proud to partner with the Boys and Girls Club this holiday season to provide turkeys for families at the clubs to have a great Thanksgiving. For more information on COR's community programs, visit coar.com. And thank you, COR, for taking care of our youth and their families in our community. Really appreciate that. SGA CPAs, since 1989, SGA CPAs has been a full-service accounting firm in Bend and is pleased to announce its virtual financial officer program, a full-service, all-inclusive, cloud-based accounting service for businesses. The VFO program is designed to take care of the day-to-day accounting needs of business owners, giving them the freedom to do what they do best, have suit competitions, run a successful business. Call SGA, give them a call or send them an email to find out more. And now I'd like to introduce Chris Otto from the University of Oregon. Chris?
Thanks, Julie. I didn't know where I was on the agenda, so that was a surprise. University of Oregon is super happy to be sponsoring this and Bend Venture Conference. It was a relationship that we coordinated with EDCO, and we're excited about it for a couple things. It's a co-op within our ranks between the University General and the business school. And we just believe a lot of things we do within the business school are consistent with what's going on in this Bend community. I wanted to share a couple stats about the university and then a couple comments about the business school. So just so you know kind of what the university is about. Some of you may know this, but our enrollment in the fall of 16, so this is a year old, we had 23,600 students at the University of Oregon. 51% of those were from the state of Oregon. And about 20,000 of those were undergrad, and 3,500 were graduate students. We're primarily an undergraduate university. The reason we're 51% Oregon is because of the math with regard to funding. So we only get about 7.2% of our funding from the state. So we have to have the out-of-state tuition to help support that. Our freshman class last year was about 4,000 students. 1,000 of those, this surprised me when I first learned this stat, 1,000 of those were first-time college students in their family. And 700 of the 4,000 are on what we call the Pathway Scholarship Program, which is students qualify for that if they don't have the financial ability to go to the University of Oregon, yet they have all the other academic requirements. So we're able to provide funding for 700 students, at least in last year's class, and the average GPA was 3.58 of all incoming students. In the business school, we have 4 distinctive qualities that we kind of wrap everything around, and it's around, and this is why I think it's a match with Bend, around innovation, sustainability, an active lifestyle, and financial stewardship. We have 2 degrees that we offer, a bachelor, business administration and accounting. And then within business administration, there's 4 segments: management, management, finance, marketing, and then operations and business analytics. And then we have 4 what we call centers of excellence. So within all those, you can take classes along these certain tracks. And the tracks are sustainable business practices, sports marketing, finance and securities analysis, and entrepreneurship. So we have 3 full-time employees here in Bend. We're all in the offices that are behind the Duck store on the north end of town. And come by and see us. Thank you.
And now I'd like to introduce Harrison Womack from Velox Systems, and after that, Kurt Barker. So while Harrison's speaking, if you could make your way up to the front so we don't have a pause, that would be great.
Hello, I'm with Velox Systems. Like Julie said, thank you. We're excited to be a part of this business community. We've been around Ben since 2010, supporting businesses with their IT needs. Anyway, one thing I want to let you guys know about, we're actually hosting a class. One of our missions is to just help Bend to have efficient and secure IT infrastructure so that we can actually do business that we're trying to do. So we're hosting a class that's called IT Setup for Small Firms. So if you own a small business and you'd like to learn more about kind of the basic fundamentals of what you should have in your IT department, looking at kind of priorities, how do you do IT on a budget, and how do you set things up so that you have reasonable security. We're hosting a class. Check out our website. It's veloxsystems.net and click on resources, and then we have classes. So anyway, we'd love to see you guys at our class. We're a resource for you if you need anything. Thank you.
Hi, Kurt Barker from Carnot Peterson.
You said no pause, so I had to kind of stalk you on the way up here. I feel a little underdressed tonight, I got to be honest.
Do you want to try my jacket?
I would love to try your Actually, no, you need it for the interview. Hold on. Hi, Kurt Barker from one of the 16 attorneys at Carnot Peterson. We love helping your business anywhere in its life cycle, help you grow and do better. I have bit my tongue for months now. I haven't done a legal update on Can anyone remember the last? It's been forever, right? No. It's going to be a short legal update tonight. Thank you. He's a plant. I do intellectual property and employment law. There's so many employment law changes rolling in with the calendar year. We have to do a legal update tonight, but to help make it not suck, Julie wore her interview suit. Let's just pretend that we're in a job interview context, and clearly she wore her best interview suit. Corey didn't make the cut, incidentally. I'm so sorry. It was the suit was just inappropriate for our firm. But she's interviewing to be the fictional role, the Chief Awesomeness Officer at Carnot Peterson, a new position. See if you can spot the illegal interview question, okay? I'm only going to ask her a couple things, maybe 3. Julie, thank you so much for your interest in our firm.
You're welcome.
You're applying to be our Chief Awesomeness Officer. How awesome are you?
Not nearly as awesome as you.
This is starting to feel scripted. I'm a Virgo. What's your sign?
Stop. No. Cancer.
Thank you. And how much were you making at your last job?
$1 billion.
You're worth it. You're hired. So she's the big winner, right? But I just stepped in it. Anybody want to shout out? What was the illegal question that I asked? Salary info, you guys know, thank you so much. That just became an unlawful employment practice in Oregon last month. Can't ask, what'd you make at your last job? So just for a little bit of context and one more to-do item for business, keep in mind the goal behind that law, level the playing field. If there was a pay depression in the past due to gender discrimination or other discriminatory reasons, the goal of this new law is to level the playing field. It calls for a lot more. It prohibits pay disparities among a host of protected classes, not just gender, and really creates a safe harbor if you do a self-audit. So there's your big to-do item. Sorry to add to your list, but sometime we're recommending people start now. Look at an equal pay audit of your business across protected classes if you want to have a defense against certain claims and types of liability. Thank you. You're hired, Julie.
Thank you so much. It's been a while since I've had a job interview. So I want to point out the EDCO staff that's in attendance tonight. Brian Vieira, the Venture Catalyst. And here's what we should do. Let's do this. When I say their names, say, "Hi, Brian," and then, okay, ready? Brian Vieira, Venture Catalyst. Hi, Brian. Aaron Chiat, COO. Hi, Aaron. Kip Barrett, Bend Area Director. Terry Hockett, Technology Industry Coordinator. Aaron Riley, Director of Events. Elise Rossman, Director of Marketing and Communications. Heidi Hausner, Director of Membership. Larry Holman, Youth Career Connect Redmond. Let's keep it together, folks. John Stark, Ready's Director in Redmond. Oscar Wiegand, EDCO Intern Extraordinaire. Caprielle Lewis, Sisters Area Director. And EDCO's CEO, Roger Lee, for a quick director's minute. Roger?
Hello, hello. It's been a while since I've been on the stage here for a director's minute. So do you want the good news or the really good news? Which first? I'm going to go with the good news first. So 2 weeks ago, the Technology Association of Oregon, sorry, not Central Oregon, made an offer to our very own Terry Hockett. That doesn't sound like good news because it sounds like turnover. But it is good news because it represents industry effort that many of you in the room have tried to support for the last decade on trying to sustain some help for the technology industry. It includes bioscience as well as our software and hardware companies in the region. And Tao is kind of putting a more serious flag in the ground here in Central Oregon. So Terry, this is her last PubTalk as an EDCO employee. She'll be kind of moving out of our offices, but I'm sure we'll see her frequently with some gluten-free goods and also leaded goods. So Terry, congratulations. And if you see anybody from the Technology Association, tell them thanks for investing in our industry here in Central Oregon. So what's the really good news? Well, we had our first $500 million quarter last quarter. So you say 500 million, it's $500 million. What is that? It's a capital investment of the projects that we're working on that actually landed. They opened their facilities, they hired people, they got their certificate of occupancy, and they started operations. So that's a big number, and that actually exceeds our 3-year goal for whatever that is. How many quarters is it in 3 years? 12 quarters? So not too bad of a quarter for us. Over the past 14 months, our team has helped complete 54 deals in the region. That's new companies moving or starting here, some of them right here at PubTalk, as well as growing our own existing trade sector of businesses. We've got 177 projects in the pipeline, and if all successful, which honestly that's unlikely, but these are companies that are more seriously in the decision-making process. That would add another $2 billion in capital investment in our small region. Pretty exciting stuff. So, and another thing I would just say is that we had the fastest 20 growing companies, the first time they've done that for Cascade Business News. We had some local sponsors, Columbia Bank and SGA CPAs helped get that off the ground. 11 of those 20 were manufacturers, our clients at EDCO. And 14 were traded sector companies. So things are hot here, and it's certainly a lot of it's happening in the industries that EDCO is focused. So what's it all mean? Well, consider that the Bend-Redmond Metro, which is really all of Deschutes County, out of all large and small metros in the U.S., had the #1 fastest growing GDP last year, gross domestic product, in the nation at 8.1%. So if you compare that on a global basis, there was only 3 countries in the world that had higher GDP growth, and it wasn't India and it wasn't China. The second fastest job growth at 5.9% in the U.S., again of all metros, and the 6th fastest population growth at 4.9%. So from an economic perspective, the numbers don't get much better. This place is on fire.
It's November. Well, for those of you that haven't been here before and expected a serious business meeting, this is not that. This is Ben's entrepreneurial living room. So we like to have a good time. And part of that is the people who are members of EDCO. Is Heidi, come up here. Heidi Hausner has been with EDCO a short time. And one of the things that we do at every PubTalk is we announce the number of new members, not the number of new members, but the actual new members' names. And this list is so long that I thought we should give Heidi a round of applause because there's all these new members since she started, which was the point, right? Congratulations, thank you. And so wait, stay here. I know you don't want to be up here, but so just listen to this. Okay, these are the companies. Frenzy to Freedom, Career Ninja Coaching, Pacific Marketing, Daily Construction, T3 Consulting, Brand Advocate, Geldwin, Overland Cycle, Chris Fries. And if I don't pronounce your name right, please come up and tell me and I'll correct it in January. Steve Meshke, Seed Strategies LLC, Dave Petrowski, Ben Station, Jared Wise, Joanne Matthews Consulting, Herd Fried Hearts, VR Motion, Edward Stephen Murrer, Step and Spine Physical Therapy, Don Harms Patent and Trademark Attorney, HR Any Day Consulting, Canoe Board LLC, Campbell Consulting, Leapology, Enduro Advisors, isn't this amazing? Compass Search Associates LLC, Robertson and Associates, Sky Media, Eternal Health Chiropractic, Camp Creative, Coachwell Inc., David Thorne, Elena Yang, Efficient Water, 5 Peaks Group, C2H Recruiters, Olitas, Christopher Ferrens, CPA, Total Property Resources, 10 Over Studio, Don Palmiere, CFO Selections LLC. And if you would like to be on this list at the next Pub Talk in January, you can see Heidi out in the lobby after tonight. Heidi's awesome. Meet her anyway. Talk to her about the benefits of membership. And congratulations. Good job.
Thank you to all our members.
So now we get into the core of our program. I'd like to introduce John Davis from Shape for an update on what they've been up to since pitching here at Pub Talk. First, the steady budget, creating solutions for digital marketers. John?
2 years later, still don't have a place for the beer up here. I'll grab it once we get it. All right, thanks, Julie. I will hold it, all right. My name is John Davis. I'm CEO of Shape, formerly Steady Budget the last time we were on the stage. My other co-founder, Chris, in the back there, CTO, recent Wyatt Starnes Award winner in Oregon Entrepreneurial Network, OEN, I think, in Portland. So we're excited about that. Our product is a software platform and API that syncs with Google, Bing, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and helps digital marketing companies scale faster and deliver better results for their clients. We're probably what BVC would qualify as growth stage. In July 2015, we raised $300,000 of seed funding. Excuse me. The date of the original Pub Talk was January 2016. At that time, we were at a humble 45K ARR. Now we've grown to 450K ARR, and it's been, yeah, thanks. Thank you. I think, yeah, that should have started the update. We're still here, you know. Like 2 years later, and we're still here. Everybody should quit your job and start a high-risk software company. That would be the big takeaway, I think, from tonight. But we work with companies in town. One of them is G5, so we help them deliver better marketing data to their many clients. We work with a company, Rev Local, out of Ohio. Tombras, who's a large ad agency out of Knoxville. Reprise Media, which is a global ad agency. So there's a couple of the things we've been working on over the last 2 years. The major one is our API. The API handles a lot of the stresses that we've dealt with over the last 4 years for our customers. So instead of having to figure out how do we pull data from Google, Bing, Facebook, all these places, maintain those connections, handle the massive amount of data that's flowing through those, we've used our technology so that our customers can utilize what we've learned to fuel their own platforms. We also hope that helps us expand outside of just digital marketing agencies. So an example, a local company, Odysseus, who people might be familiar with, They have a lot of boutique hotel owners that log into their client portal to view information on bookings and marketing data. We're in the early stages of working with them so they can use our API to fuel their advertising reporting. G5's reporting platform is now fueled by our API, and that's something that we're looking to leverage more as we sell into larger organizations with developer talent in-house. And a couple of the other things we've been working on is adding to our integration. So the last time I was here, we synced with Google, Bing, and Facebook. We've added LinkedIn and Twitter. We're one of the few platforms out there to sync with all 5 of those data sources and offer a lot of flexibility because of that. We've grown to a team of 8. Our office is right above Bond Street Market. Down the street, if you're ever downtown, we're the door just to the right of Bond Street Market. Come up and introduce yourself. The best way that the community here can help us is introducing us to digital marketing companies or anybody that interacts with advertising data online. Those are the people we're looking to have conversations with and see how we can help. So, thanks. I hit all my mandated bullet points there.
We're going to have a couple-minute Q&A, and I'm going to repeat the questions, okay?
Okay.
So we're going to have a quick Q&A, and I'm going to repeat the questions. So questions for John? Yes? He wants to sign up to get out to, for all those ways to get out to all those people. How does he do that?
He wants to sign up for all the...
What do you want to sign up for?
Yeah.
How do they get hooked up with you, John?
All right.
Come over
We've
to
got a
the
free
monster.
trial. You can check it out. But we really help people that are already marketing on all those platforms and struggling to scale as more and more advertising dollars flow into the digital world. So as companies now are getting hit with more data from more sources, managing that, keeping it all in one place, one of our differentiators is we're a self-serve free trial. We're trying to focus a lot more on a SaaS play than a real sales-heavy focused process. And so we rely on people to see a lot of the magic through the free trial process, and then we help coach them through how they could maybe better use the platform.
Cool. Does your hat say shape? No, it says Jackson. Okay, other questions? Yes, Jeff. Do you take Bitcoin? Do you have deep AI learning in there somewhere?
Actually, it's interesting. Like, deep AI learning is one of the ways that we really hurt ourselves through the fundraising process, I would say, and made it a lot harder for us to raise funds. My background is as a digital marketer, and what I was looking for was to utilize the AI and the deep learning at the ad networks, not from a third-party tool. So our tool works as kind of a wrapper around the AI that's happening at Google, Bing, Facebook, because we think they can probably still do it better with all the data they have than aggregating that. So we kind of work as an accounting system on top of what everybody's doing on the ad networks, and that's a big trend in the market. Previously, a lot of companies would have gone to third-party tools for the AI, but now as the ad networks have gone heavy into it, they prefer to do that kind of work actually at the ad network and use third-party tools to account for what's happened.
One more quick question. Aaron? Who's your dream client?
WPP, who's like one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world, and that's the market we're trying to play in. We've traditionally been more small to medium-sized businesses, and as our technology has gotten better and tighter and better to use for larger teams, we're starting now to try to sell to agencies that own other agencies and give them reporting tools so they can keep a high-level view of what's going on.
Anybody have a connection to WPP?
Oh, there we go. All right.
Yeah, okay. Dan? Okay, so what I figured out over the years is that there are never one or two connections away from somebody you want to talk to, so there you go. Congratulations. Good use of 10 minutes, huh? All right, thanks, John. I'd like to introduce Lindsay Pate, founder and CEO of Glasshouse Grown. She's stacking up trophies in the medical cannabis arena, taking strict protocols and science to a new level. Lindsay?
Well, thank you so much for EDCO to invite me to be here today, and also thank you to the sponsors who contribute to make events like this happen. If anyone here in the audience is feeling somewhat surprised to potentially see me here, you're probably not alone. I'm equally surprised. In fact, if you would have told me 10 years ago that I would be the co-founder of an award-winning cannabis farm over working in a molecular genetics lab, I would have called you nuts. And really, that's because I was raised and trained to be a scientist. These days, I really get the best of both worlds. I'm a scientist that studies cannabis production, and I'm an entrepreneur in one of the most exciting industries of my time. Glasshouse Grown is an award-winning, 9-time award-winning producer and processor in Deschutes County. And we are a company that merges science and ISO standards into cannabis cultivation. And really, it's our team that makes us so much more than just a cannabis farm. Our founder, Chris Pate, is not only a second-generation grower, but he previously held nuclear security clearance in the US Air Force. Later, under that same clearance, he worked for the Department of Defense as an engineer developing radar systems and power supplies. Just to remind you, my name is Lindsay Pate. I am our CEO and also a founder here at Glasshouse Grown. I served on our local marijuana advisory board to develop the regulations in our rural county. I'm an EDCO member. I'm happy to be part of Opportunity Knox, and I'm also a Farm Bureau member here locally. Craig Olson, our Chief Business Development Officer, is a University of Oregon graduate. He also worked prior to bringing him onto the farm with a leading medical device manufacturing company in the Silicon Valley. There, his work included managing supplier relations with companies such as Johnson & Johnson, and he also helped maintain SOPs under ISO certification. Rounding out our team is Gerald Katz. He is an advisor and CFO to Glasshouse Grown, and he brings over 20 years of financial experience to our team. As I mentioned, we are a medical producer and processor here in Oregon, and our model for recreational production is quite innovative. And that's because we break away from traditional farming practices. We are proposing 2 to 3 harvests each week of small batch craft cannabis. And we have a line of vertically integrated concentrated cannabis products that turn over to our customers on a B2B wholesale model each week. What's really cool as a scientist is that our model adapts to market trends each week through research and development. In our market research, we are the only entity that is proposing year-round production in environmentally controlled greenhouses with incredibly advanced hydroponic systems. And when we look at our competitive landscape, we can see a ton of variety in the infrastructure and the equipment that is being used across the board. I can tell you that as a 9-time award-winning cannabis farm, without a doubt, the most cost-effective way to produce top-shelf quality cannabis is by combining greenhouse production and hydroponic growing. So what does that all really mean, right? Well, it means that as a premier cannabis farm, we have some serious competitive advantages when it comes to infiltrating other markets. I can say that as we move forward in this industry, there will always be a demand for top-shelf quality cannabis, just like we seek out craft brews in Deschutes County, Kettle One, or Patron. And Glasshouse Grown will fill this consumer desire. Our branding is important. Our branding originates from our family's Dutch heritage, and our packaging can carry that brand and that story into the households of our consumers. Let's talk a little bit about the Oregon market. So when Oregon first started recreational sales, we saw a 52% increase in the total cannabis sales in our state. And in the last year, we've seen over $370 million in total Oregon cannabis sales. At Glasshouse Grown, we have 11 stores that we have created relationships with and done business with. And Since the rec market has hit and we've been in medical, we have received over 25 inbound requests that continue to come in requesting our product to be in the rec market. As a vertically integrated cannabis farm, as I mentioned, we have a line of concentrated cannabis products that derive from our award-winning genetics. And as I mentioned earlier, our products evolve with our market trends, our consumer demands, but specifically with new technologies that haven't even come out yet. And this is because our background in science and engineering maintains a very strong focus on research and development. And I have to say, that focus on R&D, it's doing pretty well for us. We've won a ton of awards. We're one of the only companies in Oregon to represent the type of concentrate that we make. And I'm pretty happy to say that about 4 days ago, we just brought home 2 of the most coveted awards across the state of Oregon, right here in Deschutes County. But let's talk a little bit more about what's really going on here. Glasshouse Grown is in your community. Glasshouse Grown is approved for a recreational license pending a final site inspection, and you would truly be hard-pressed to find a team more capable of combining these highly automated, highly efficient technologies. Our future investments will be used to build out our first flagship farm on our farmland in Deschutes County. Our projected growth in profits comes from scaling a very small footprint with a very large economic impact. For example, our concentrated product line, the margins can be characterized between 79 and 83%, and those products contribute to 84% of our total sales moving forward. Each new farm will have identical floor plans and proprietary SOPs for production, and this makes us incredibly efficient when it comes to expanding into new markets and new states. When you consider the recent acquisition of Oregon's own Chalice Farms by publicly traded Golden Holdings for a package of over $35 million, there is absolutely tangible exit opportunity in this space. In fact, not to brag, last night I just met with a Canadian publicly traded company that recognizes Oregon to be the mecca of craft cannabis. And guess what? He recognizes Glasshouse Grown to be one of the top opportunities in this state. And that's really what this is. This is an opportunity. This is a business. You know, Thomas Edison said that people often miss opportunity because it's dressed in overalls and it looks like a lot of hard work. Well, I left the overalls at home, and I'm not afraid to admit that what we are proposing is a ton of hard work. But it is an opportunity, and it is here in your community. And cannabis creates new opportunities almost every single day, whether it's that app someone's working on to increase market penetration, or whether it's a medicine for somebody. In closing, I would really like to make it clear to our community that at Glasshouse Grown, we really live by our core values. Our core values are integrity first, service before self, excellence in everything that we do, but probably most importantly, transparency, because for far too long, this plant has been in the shadows. Thank you so much.
Nicely done. You did a great job. Okay, so questions for Lindsay? Yes?
Okay, I recently read some articles about canopy growers in Canada, which is one of the largest growers, and they just got a $250 million investment from Constellation Brands. But the question to me is on the medical side, how do you guys look at convincing doctors to recognize that the medical part of cannabis is, is valid and could keep you from taking pharmaceutical drugs
Okay.
if you don't want to do that?
So Janet's question is, clearly there's a lot of money available now or there is money available for investment, But how do you go about changing the thinking of the medical community around the benefits of the use of medical marijuana?
So I'm really glad you asked this question because, I'm an advocate. I've been a patient for a very long time, and it keeps me from using certain pharmaceuticals that would make me crazy personally. How do we do it? Well, Steve D'Angelo said it best at a conference that I just left from in Las Vegas, and he said that if we could take this challenge on as cannabis entrepreneurs and we come out to somebody once a week, we tell them what we're doing, and we tell them why we do it. Those are the conversations that slowly starts to change how our community views things like this. From a more scientific perspective, it really has to come from private money funding research projects. Right now, the way that our federal rules are written, it's really challenging to fund programs like this. And personally, when I was in college studying comparative physiology, I would have loved to study cannabis physiology, but nobody really tapped my shoulder and said, hey, you might want to do this. So it's an educational piece, and the more we talk about it, the better.
Yes, Roger.
You talked about multi-states. Can you tell us a little about your strategy around that since it's illegal to transport across the lines?
Can you say that one more time? It was a little difficult to hear you.
Sorry, you mentioned in your presentation a little bit about different states and opportunities. How do you address that with the legal issues around
Okay.
interstate commerce?
So you mentioned the opportunities in different states. What about the challenges of moving this kind of product across border where it may be legal to transport it interstate?
Yeah, so again, I think this is a really great opportunity to kind of explain how a company like myself in Oregon can expand into other states. And first and foremost, transparency and compliancy is like a very important piece to our business. We do not bring product into other states. In fact, we only compete in competitions that exist within our state borders, if you will. The way that we would expand is that we are able to put a new facility in different states that adapts to regional customer bases. And again, because we have efficiency and automation, proprietary SOPs, and identical floor plans, that expansion is something that can really adapt to different legal structures.
One final question. Yes, Aaron? Can you say a little bit more about your team?
Yeah, I mean, so Chris Pate is my husband over there. Will you raise your hand, love? I would tell you more specifically about what he did, but if I did, we all might not be able to talk about it because he actually operated under nuclear security clearance. He has some really good stories about being driven out to a desert in the middle of nowhere in blacked out vans to do the work he did in both radar systems. When he was in the Air Force, he used to fix planes that were worth about $1 billion, and he also was responsible for arming and disarming weapons systems. A little more about me. I was a teacher before this. Like I said, I studied comparative physiology, specifically evolutionary biology. And I found myself really passionate about nonprofit. I worked with at-risk youth for quite some time. And when I was given the opportunity to become a cannabis professional, I took a long, hard look, long-term, and decided to move forward with it. And like I mentioned, Craig Olson, will you raise your hand? Craig's here, that's my brother-in-law. He essentially is like our Excel guru. He runs all of our projections, which are incredibly dynamic and come from historical data that we've kept for about 4 years now. So he's like our mathematician and just a guru.
A lot of smart people, so thank you. I'm sorry we're out of time to take more questions. Thank you for your presentation. It's great. So little change of pace here. I'd like to now introduce founder and CEO Christian Ray. He took his deep roots in the traditional photo business and created a customizable photo gift website and added a give back element to create PixyPics.com, the first B Corp in the photography industry. Christian?
I have a little cold tonight, so I've been chugging water, and I saw the door and I saw the minute. and I said, there's no way I'm going to make it. So if I'm fidgeting around, that's why. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Julie, and thank you, Brian and EDCO, for the opportunity tonight. And I want to thank all of you guys for participating and contributing to our really thriving entrepreneurial community here in Bend. It's really fun to see my hometown. Yes, I'm a Bend local, growing into a truly special place. As I said, my name is Christian Ray, and I'm the founder of PixyPics.com. We are 3.5 months new, so it was my side project. It's been my side project for a really long time. And we're excited to finally set it loose into the wild, and it's a evolution every day, as software is. So my company is a cause-based custom products platform that inspires and empowers our users to create memories on an array of personalized photo products. We are basically building the Tom shoes in photo. The pace of innovation in the photography business over the last 20 years has been incredible. There are more photos being taken today than ever before in history. The challenge is people aren't doing a lot with them other than Snapchat. Since my first job at Fujifilm at the ripe age of 18, I've been fascinated by technology and its ability to shape our daily lives and transform industry. I spent my career in various software and marketing roles and learning all aspects of what it takes to make it work. Now, before I tell you a little bit more about PixyPics and who we are, I'd like to share with you a little bit more about who I am. And my story starts out like many others. Small town, 18-year-old ready to get out and see the world. Having a narrow view, as many 18-year-olds do, I took the first opportunity that crossed my path, which landed me in Rochester, New York. Turns out this adventure would really impact my life in a dramatic way and allow me to discover so much about who I am. Living in Rochester gave me access to so much opportunity that just didn't really exist in Bend at the time. I think when I left in 2000, the sign said 30,000 people. So every time I'd come home, there was a new building, right? So not only did Rochester give me a chance to discover my passion, it also exposed me to some incredible, larger-than-life influences and mentors during a truly transformative time in one of the world's most recognized industries. I also met my beautiful wife, Christina, there and convinced her to move back out west with me 4 years ago. After about a year of adjustment, we've settled in nicely, and she's absolutely loving everything Bend has to offer. I'm still working on convincing her to summit South Sister and go camping, but baby steps, we're making progress. So now that you know a little bit more about me, I'd like to have a little fun and take you guys on a quick stroll down technology's memory lane. The last 50 years in tech have been incredibly impactful to what our world looks like today. Between everyone in this room, we've all lived through some truly transformative innovations. So just for fun, let's do a quick recap of the last 5 to 6 decades. Let's start with the baby boomers. So anyone born around 1940 and 1970 lived through a time that really gave birth to the pace of invention we all expect today. I mean, you guys had the space race, which while innovations in the 70s, 80s, and 90s were pretty cool, you guys landed on the moon, right? We're not exactly sure when, but we're pretty sure you did. Now, the rest of us born after 1970 got to experience inventions like the personal computer, CDs, DVDs, text messaging, Y2K, the cloud, the completion of the Human Genome Project, and this whole mobile broadband thing that allowed this single device to pretty much control everything about our daily lives. When it comes to the photography business, we've essentially given most people the ability to capture any moment on demand at a touch. And people are loving it. So much so that the number of photos being taken each year is growing at an insane pace. So here come the stats. In 2013, there were 660 billion photos taken. That number has skyrocketed since with no signs of slowing down. Thanks mostly to the selfie, as Julie demonstrated tonight. Nicely done. In 2017, we're on pace to snap 1.2 trillion photos. Insane, right? 85% of those will be taken on the smartphone. But remember, taking photos wasn't always this easy. Before the smartphone, people had to deal with this. And for you guys in the other room, this is a roll of film. And yes, this is how people used to take pictures. Now, to actually see their pictures, they would drive to the store, put the film in a bag. You guys remember this, right? It's like a step down nostalgia lane. sent it off to be developed, and then they waited, hoping to find a gem, a memory, a flashback of a moment in time, praying they didn't have their eyes closed or an awkward look on your face. Now, unfortunately, for those of us that remember this, more often than not, the pictures you get back were mostly bad. Maybe you'd get a couple good ones and the rest got stored in a shoebox in the attic. Now, while this success rate was kind of annoying for us, trust me when I tell you companies like Kodak and Fuji had no problem with this model. So that brings us to today's challenge. How do we get people to do more with their photos? As I mentioned before, the pace of innovation in this space has been staggering. The traditional film business virtually disappeared overnight, and a great American brand died with it, Kodak. In 2012, Kodak filed bankruptcy and was forced to sell most of its IP. Companies like Google, Microsoft, and Apple were happy to take it off their hands. One little known piece of Kodak's IP was the original patent on the digital camera, which executives buried in the 1970s for fear it would cannibalize their business. Sadly, that forecast came true. Their mistake was they failed to embrace innovation and they died as a result. Look, a lot has changed in how we take photos and what we do with them, but there are some technologies that stand the test of disruption, and the photograph is one of them. Good photos and not so good photos. There's a quote from Abraham Lincoln that demonstrates how old and how powerful photography is that says, "There are no bad photos, that's just how your face looks sometimes." It's a good one. I'm gonna put that one on the wall in my office. The truth is, most photos in the cloud probably don't need to be saved. It's probably okay to just leave them there. However, there are so many incredible memories that deserve to be relived because the power they hold connects us to the moments we cherish in our lives. Moments like right before we walked down the aisle or held our firstborn. The last moment or the last memory we had with those loved ones that we've lost. This incredible power that photographs have is what inspired us to launch our business. And our goal is to give people tools and inspiration to do more with their photos. PixyPics delivers on this promise by inspiring and empowering our customers to take a photograph and create a memory. We currently have over 15 product lines, which is a ton, that represent well over 100 SKUs, and we're expanding our offering rapidly over the next couple months. The personalized product market in photo is one of the few growing segments, and the forecasts on the horizon are incredible. Admittedly, part of what attracted me to this market was that it has numbers that are fun to play the 1% game with. So here are the stats. The global personalized print market in 2016 was around $20 billion with a B. In 2021, it's forecasted to grow to $31.63 billion worldwide. Last year in the US, our market was about $5 billion of the global share. Shutterfly, who's public, so I get to spy on them, which is really fun, published over $1 billion in sales and a net profit close to $200 million. As I said, all fun numbers to play the 1% game with. Now, there are some large players in the space. This year, Google launched the photo book, and immediately Shutterfly's stock price took a hit. So the natural next question for us is, how do we win? The fusion of philanthropy, photography, and technology was my answer. It creates the type of business that will inspire our team each and every day to continue fighting to win. If we can give back and use the power of photography and make a profit, that's it for me. That's a business I can be proud of. From a technology standpoint, instead of searching to solve a single problem, then praying no one else brings it to market before we do, we'll win by staying on the cutting edge of innovations in our space. We'll win by building a brand that attracts customers and talent by what we stand for as a business. After 17 years in software, I know two things to be true. First is that tech differentiators come with a shelf life. If you want to build lasting success, you better have more than one. Second is that starting a business is just the beginning. It takes the right mix of talent and the right blend of personality to make it thrive. Knowing this, I started recruiting almost as soon as I started building PixyPics. It started with my chief creative officer, Nate Kay, who's here tonight. His content marketing expertise and good-hearted nature made him a perfect fit. He's been blogging for at least 10 years and has bought and sold several different successful blogs and knows how to win the SEO game. Next was one of my favorite people to create with, Tor Nerheim, my chief creative officer, who had a shared passion for philanthropy and just so happens to be one of the most badass brand designers in the Pacific Northwest. Having designed and developed brands for some of the most recognized business in the world, Halo, Palm Wonderful, Hasbro, Disney. He's worked with Disney on other brands. So obviously he's just a badass, so I was really happy when he said yes. It's hard to convince people to work for free, by the way. To make our team complete, we're currently looking for a CTO, and we're open to connections that this community can make with candidates that are interested. Being an early stage business, we're actively fundraising to support our development and looking for partnerships with the right investors. In addition, we're launching several exciting branding campaigns and are interested in connections that this community can make with influential photographers and designers who have a passion for giving back. We have some samples of our products set up across the hall that some of you may have checked out. If you haven't seen them yet, please do. So I'd invite you to come over, take a look, and get inspired to save your photos from the cloud. Thank you very much.
We gave you an extra minute. You did good. How about some questions? Yeah, we have space for two. Who are your customers?
So this market is dominated by the millennial mom.
The millennial mom.
It's about
Teresa,
70%.
what age is a millennial mom? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, so what's your question?
So my question is about the philanthropy.
Yeah. What's the philanthropic connection?
Yeah, so we have a couple things. We started this out with connections with Kid Center, and so we are excited to announce that we're donating all of our profits on November 28th, which is Giving Tuesday. It's the philanthropy's response to Cyber Monday and Black Friday. 100% of our profits are going to Kid Center on that day. So that's our first step. We're also partnered with Dornbeckers in Portland, which is an amazing hospital. I've heard so many great stories since moving home about everything they've done for families in our community in and around Oregon, people that have moved here from Northern California, from Idaho, all of our surrounding states to take advantage of their care. So really great organization.
Aaron? What's next for PixyPics?
So we're actually developing a lot of our technology. We just launched 3 months ago. We're developing a Facebook Messenger bot. So all you have to do is send us your favorite photo and we'll curate it on a product for you and deliver it back to you to purchase. We're also working on version 2 of our website and an integrated platform for giving for designers and photographers. And that's it. No.
Thank you. Okay. Great. Thank you so much. Do you feel like you're in the spotlight?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, thanks so much.
I did.
Good job.
Thank you.
I'd like to welcome our keynote, Dan Vetras. This month's keynote has over 30 years of experience in business and technology leadership roles. In his current role, Dan is the CEO of Kollective. He oversees day-to-day operations globally and is actively involved in building long-term relationships with their customer base. Welcome to Bend and to PubTalk, Dan.
Thanks, Julie, and thanks, EDCO. I think I'm going to remove the 30 years of tenure because that's more than some of the speakers have been alive that were up before me. So Roger instructed me to bring a drink up with me. He said it's the thing to do at a Bend Pub Talk. It's not a beer, and that's because I was a victim of the freshman 15 my first year in Bend. And if you don't know what that is, you haven't lived here for over a year. So I've moved on to hard liquor, wine, and maybe a Coors Light every now and then. Speaking of EDCO, they were incredibly gracious 3 years ago when I first arrived on the Bend scene, and that was as a visitor and as a guest of Dino Vendetti, who many people I'm sure in the room know from Seven Peaks Ventures. Our company was headquartered in Sunnyvale, California at the time, which is just outside of San Jose. And thanks to Apple, Facebook, and Google, they pretty much forced companies like ours to reevaluate why they were there. Our lease was due, or was up, I should say, our 5-year lease, and the landlord was nice enough to raise our rent by 3x. And that just didn't seem fair to me, so I came home on a Friday night and cracked open a bottle of wine with my wife and said, there's got to be a better plan than this. Came up to visit Dino, fell in love with Ben like everybody does, found some space at the Bend Tech Center, and the rest is history. So who is Kollective and what do we do? We're a software company. We're cloud-based. We deliver video for some of the largest companies in the world, live and on-demand video. We do that securely, which is paramount because most of the information that the C-levels are communicating to their employees is confidential, and we do it at scale. So what does that mean? Well, that means when the CEO of Bank of America, HSBC, Nestle, Unilever, John Deere, and we have about 120 other customers of that same ilk, wants to make sure their message is heard and heard across the organization. We're the infrastructure or software that does that. So how do we do it? Anybody that's ever tried to access video, especially on their corporate network, but even over the internet, has experienced latency or buffering. It just is a reality of how the stuff works. So if you're an organization with hundreds of thousands of people and you want to watch whoever that is speaking, for every single person that wants to view the video, a stream has to come into the organization's branch office if you don't use us. So at some point it's going to saturate, it's going to be a lousy experience, and you're just going to say enough and just drop it. You just won't watch the video. The way we do it is patented and proprietary, and we're on release 10 of the software, so unlike some of the other people in here who have spoke previously, we're a fairly mature company, and we have to be. When I go see customers or prospects, they want to make sure we're not two guys and a dog from Bend, Oregon, because they're spending millions of dollars on us a year under a subscription model, SaaS, as many people know, software as a service. So back to how it works. We deploy or install through the IT people a small piece of software on everybody's device. Let me put that in perspective. At a bank like HSBC, which is one of the largest in the world, we're on 400,000 devices. At Wells Fargo, 325,000. At Nestle, 180,000. Unilever is about 150. United Technologies is 200,000 with 2,000 branch offices. So when the stream comes in, we cache it or we store it. Cache is a technical term. So we store it on the first person's machine, and then we move the file around. We break it up. We create what's called a mesh network. And the way we do that is through something called peer-to-peer. Now, a lot of people in this room participate in peer-to-peer fundraising. I'm talking about from a technology standpoint. So basically, that file only comes in, that stream comes in once, and that file is then moved around to every single employee in the company to watch it simultaneously as we're authenticating and authorizing. We have to make sure you are who you are. As I said earlier, this is confidential information. So when that happens, you don't have the latency, you don't have the buffering, you have a great experience, whether it's 500, 5,000, or 25,000 people. The same happens for video on demand, which you may say, well, there's never buffering with video on demand. Well, if there is, if you have a compliance video you have to watch, and it's the end of the month, and you wait till the end of the month to watch that, like many companies do. You've got 5,000 people trying to watch the same thing. So peer-to-peer has been around for quite a while. Most people know it as something as less than positive, like Napster, moving files, music files around illegally, like BitTorrent, doing it on the video side. We are very secure. We pass all of the various tests they put us through in these large organizations, and that is the core of what we do. In September of this year, just a couple of months ago in Orlando at a big Microsoft event, we announced our next product, which is software delivery. So we're now going to use the same underlying peer-to-peer concept and do updates for companies all over the world. Patches, Windows 10, which is the new big release that Microsoft is pushing on everybody to get done by 2020, and you have to, or they're going to drop support for Windows 7. So we're going to use the same way that we move video to do software updates for these large organizations. And we have to do it because if we don't, people lose jobs. You know, it's a world of hackers and cyber espionage and just people like Equifax waiting 59 days before they deployed their patch. And a CEO loses their job as a result of that. So unfortunately, there are a lot of bad guys out there, and Microsoft and others realize it. So the way operating systems are going to be updated, much like your iPhones or your Samsung Droids, is it's going to happen every month. Not once every 3 to 5 years. It's every month. You're going to have an update pushed to, again, those same 400,000, 300,000, 200,000 devices across your organization. So we are a big global organization in terms of who we serve, but we're small and entrepreneurial in terms of our size. We don't tell many people this, but we only have 80 employees in the company, and that's 3 times what we were when I started here 6 years ago as the CEO. We moved to Bend specifically to allow our employees to have a quality of life that didn't exist. Over half of the employees in Silicon Valley do not own homes that work for us. And so when they moved here, every single one of them did buy a home, and I think have injected significant capital into the local economy. I know that is a controversial subject for some people, but we feel like we're doing our part to help grow Bend. We recently just signed a lease over at the Northwest Crossing facility next to Hydro Flask, and we're going to move into a 12,000 square foot building in May of next year, the Todd Taylor's building. We're in the Bend Tech Center now, but we've outgrown it. We moved up here with 13 people. We have over 30 employees right now. We'll easily have over 40 by the time we move in there, and the space that we're moving into will accommodate up to 80 people. All of the hiring we do in America in terms of engineering, QA, operations, support, we insist be Bend first. While we still have a presence in Sunnyvale, and we're proud of that, we definitely are trying to hire here. We've had, just from Seattle alone, at least 8 people relocate in the last 12 months to move to Bend. We've had people from Los Angeles, obviously San Francisco, where many of us came from, and San Antonio, Florida. It's just amazing how many people are attracted to Bend. You know this, I'm not telling anything you don't know, but I think we're a good example of a company that can leave Silicon Valley and thrive here, regardless of what we do, which is, again, serving the largest companies in the world out of Bend. We have people geographically everywhere. We have people in Europe. We just opened up in Singapore and Tokyo. We have US employees in every major city, but Bend is our headquarters. We're proud of it. If you go to our website, you'll see that. And there's really no regret from my perspective 2.5 years ago, well, 3 years ago when I first met Roger and the team, but 2.5 years ago when we physically moved here, no regret whatsoever. And hopefully we can be an example for a lot of the other tech companies, whether you're 2 or 3 people or you're even larger than that, that you can physically be here in a place like Bend, you can grow it and you can serve the largest customers in the world in doing so. And there's nothing at all that has degraded or deteriorated from being in Silicon Valley previously. It's just a great place to live, incredibly excited to be here. Took up skiing for the first time 2 years ago and can make it down to blue right now, so I'm pretty proud of myself. My wife's still a much better skier than I am. So I don't really have many more prepared remarks. I will tell you one story and how our product is used. So, and there are many use cases, but the one that stands out the most for me is there's a company in Paris called Schneider Electric. Now, you may or may not know them, but they're arguably the largest electrical company in the world. If you've ever been inside a data center where all these products are hosted in the cloud, they make up a large majority of the hardware in there. They used to fly, so this company has 180,000 employees. They used to fly 1,000 managers to Paris every January for their annual kickoff meeting. That cost them $20 million. All right? And most of those people wouldn't remember half of what you told them because they got drunk 4 nights in a row and went home. And then they were supposed to communicate it back to their employees and their employees and their employees. So obviously that message was never conveyed properly. They brought a new chief marketing officer in, actually an American who had worked at Oracle and SAP before that, and he said there's got to be a better way to do this. So he hired a production crew, and he purchased our software, and versus bringing 1,000 people to Paris, we took the message out to 180,000 people from their headquarters with 7 executives live. They had to film it twice because of time differences, but live all over the world. The CMO was so bright that he had them also using Twitter, all right, to convey the messages real time from wherever they were in the world and uploading selfies of themselves. So after the meeting, I said to him in a bar in Paris, you must be ecstatic because you saved $19 million doing this. He said, that's not why we did it. We did it because we have to embrace digital and social. Nobody knows who Schneider Electric is. We're competing against Google and Facebook and Apple. I can't get some kid to come here to a 180-year-old company unless I convince them that I am using the tools that they would use in those other technology companies. So Schneider's been a great reference for us. They're a great example of how you adopt video. If you look at the workforce in 2020, 54% will be millennials globally. Do you think they're going to read a 40-page document or watch a 4-minute video? So from a VOD standpoint, there's a use case. From a live standpoint, Wells Fargo was a customer, and when they first started using us live, their employees said, we've never seen the CEO before, didn't know what the guy looked like. And now he was conveying to them on a weekly basis their message globally.
So Dan, if I take a video of the two, like a video selfie of the two of us, can we blast it out to 100 locations?
If you've got my client on your machine.
Okay, let's see. Hi. Okay, so we're running as fast as we can towards the future. This is Dan Vetras and Julie Harrelson from Bend, Oregon. Thanks for being here, Dan.
Thank you.
Now, okay, I have one other question. You're guiding the organization through a significant amount of growth. What do you think is a key quality for a leader to have to actually do that successfully?
The ability to hire really good people and get out of the way. Yeah. Because if you micromanage, then it's the worst thing you could possibly do.
Thank you. Okay, questions for Dan? Yeah. Why is your glass still full?
Because this is my third drink, and I didn't want to slur when I was up here.
I guess honesty is a part of that leadership too, huh? Yes. Who are your competitors?
So traditionally, they've been hardware manufacturers like Cisco and Polycom and Riverbed, and they want to deploy servers at all those offices. They're called WAN accelerators. I don't want to get super technical here, but they believe the way you solve the bandwidth problem is just keep throwing hardware out. So we're the only guys that are doing it using peer-to-peer, and which is why we have over a dozen patents on our technology. But because we use peer-to-peer, it's hard initially to convince the IT and the security people that we're not like Napster, we're not like BitTorrent, and we're not going to do anything to infect their network. We've never been compromised, never been hacked. One of our greatest resellers is British Telecom in Europe. They put an ethical hacking squad on this product for 60 days and they couldn't break it.
That's pretty amazing. How about some questions for, yeah? What's it been like to try to attract talent here?
So initially it was difficult. People didn't know us. I remember one of the executives saying, it's been like 10 months and we can't get the people we want. I'm like, give it a year and a half or two. So today we are overwhelmed, thanks to people knowing who we are, thanks to people wanting to live in a great place like Bend, thanks to EDCO. So Brian and Roger confidentially sent us a rocket scientist recently. She had her PhD in aeronautical engineering. She was looking to go somewhere else, and before they moved the resume around Bend, they gave it to us first, and we were able to hire her, so I owe you a finder's fee there for sure. But we are getting a lot of great talent here at the marketing level, the engineering, QA. I hate to say this because most people may not want to hear it, but the word is out on Bend.
Yes, Shane.
Can you talk a little bit about your client acquisition from the first clients you went after to now working with some of the largest?
Could you talk a little bit about your client acquisition from the first clients to those that you're attracting now?
Well, actually, they've always been big customers, so there wasn't a vertical strategy. We weren't going after finance or manufacturing or pharmaceutical. The early adopters of this technology really were foreseers of the future, the Wells Fargos, the General Motors, the Nestle's. So it's really just finding either a great chief marketing officer or a CEO in many cases who insist that they want to use video to improve employee engagement. They know that the younger workforce expects that. And if that CEO goes to a CIO or anybody in the IT organization and they're open-minded enough to take a look at an all-software solution like ours, then they adopt us. But it was big to begin with, and I should have mentioned, so we do have 2 customers in Oregon right now, and they're at 2 ends of the spectrum. We've got Intel as a customer and Umpqua Bank, and we treat them both the same.
That's awesome. More questions? Yes, Eric.
Who do you talk to get the depths of your company and the things that you're dealing with, the issues that you're dealing with? Do you have someone you talk to, or a group, or a board? Or?
Who do you talk to about things that are going on in the company? Are you talking about like in an advisory capacity?
Yeah, but even deeper than that.
Deeper than an advisory capacity? Getting things off your chest. Yeah, as a leader, how do you manage that?
Besides our dog Lola, I have a great group of investors. We have a great group of investors. I can be very open with them. Recently, one of them decided to come work for us part-time to run corporate development. So there isn't a scenario that could be better equipped for reality than to bring one of your investors into your company, even in a part-time scenario, to let them see how hard it is to run it every day. That's all I had to really do. And now I've got a tremendous cheerleader who's also a board member.
Yeah, Scott.
Yeah, and so we all know what many of the reasons why people would be attracted to Ben, but obviously there's challenges with people from Silicon Valley moving up. What's some of the feedback you've heard about why people wouldn't come up or haven't come up?
Yeah, that's great. And everybody heard Scott. He has a very clear voice, right?
That's a great question. We didn't get everyone to move. Not that I expected 100% hit rate, but well, let me back up. I purposely chose Bend over places like Portland or Seattle, and I lived in Seattle for 18 years, so I know exactly what that climate is like. And over Austin, Texas, 4 hours away, 2-hour time zones difference. I felt like we could sell the 300 days of sunshine a year to the Californians. Whether that's true or not, I'm starting to question it, but but I bought it. And it is still better than Seattle in terms of the weather. So I knew that I'd never get as many people to go to Portland or Seattle because of that, out of California specifically. That still didn't convince all of them that taking up skiing like I did 2 years ago was a great idea. So we did lose some people because of the weather. We also lost some people because of the culture. So we have, like any tech company, we have a fairly heavy Indian population. And while they all came up and took a trip, they realized that there isn't an Indian store within 3 hours of here to buy groceries. And that is just something that they had a legitimate concern about. I think there's one Indian restaurant in town, maybe 2, but certainly not a place where they could go buy the goods themselves and cook for their families. And the Indian culture is very, very family-oriented. So we definitely didn't get anyone to come up from there, even though they thought seriously about it. So I guess diversity, not that our industry isn't diverse, and not that we don't have people from multiple countries working for Kollective, but that particular segment did not want to leave California. There's a heavy, heavy Indian population in Silicon Valley.
One last question, Aaron? How long did Brian have to bother you to get you to join PubTalk tonight?
He didn't have to bother me at all. It was a matter of my schedule. So honestly, for the last year and a half or so, I've been busy, as in out of town or out of the country, on the Thursday that the PubTalk occurred. I travel an awful lot, not only within the US, but over in Asia as well as Europe, where we have a lot of customers. So I'm actually leaving for Boston tomorrow for Thanksgiving with my wife, so this was great. We could fit it in here. And I just wish I could have done it sooner. It's a great event.
Thanks, Dan. Do you have a final comment?
No, just really happy to be part of the Bend community, and happy to make introductions to places like WPP for the first speaker that was here, because I actually know some people there, And you can't, the last speaker, you can't have my CTO.
So we have a small gift for you. This is a PubTalk tankard, we'll call it. And anytime you come back to PubTalk, you can get it filled up for free.
Can I put vodka and soda in there on my new
Yes, you
diet?
can. Vodka, soda, yeah, there you go. Thank you so much. So thanks everyone for being here. I have just a couple more things I'd like to share with you, and then we'll wrap for this year. This is our last PubTalk, so I've got to go away for a couple months and work on my material for 2018. We have a volunteer contract renewal discussion at the end of every year with EDCO as to whether they'd like me to continue, so we'll see how that goes. Reminder of upcoming events. PubTalk is taking a break for the holidays, and we'll see you back here on January 25th. And EDCO's annual luncheon, which is always a great event, is slated for February 8th with returning economist Alan Bolio. This is EDCO's best attended event all year. It's hard to believe it's not PubTalk, really. So don't wait to reserve your table or get your tickets. So this is the season of gratitude, right? We're heading into Thanksgiving. Very thankful for all of you and your hard work to make this a great community. I hope you have safe travels if you're on the road, and a wonderful time with your families, and happy holidays. See you back here in January.